Welcome to the Sport Bros on Tap show about fantasy sports. So the Sport Bros on Tap Fantasy Sports, for those who listen, yes, we do have the Sports Bro on Tap podcast, which covers all sports, anything you could ever want. So go ahead and check out the podcast on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen in. Go ahead and check that out. But we just think that it is too important to miss out on this fantasy aspect in sports that people miss too often. We love fantasy sports. We play daily fantasy all the time. We go ahead and we talk about fantasy all the time. So why does only Matthew Berry, Field Yates, why do only a couple guys talk about it? The 10 before 10 for basketball, literally, I think it got canceled last year. You know what I mean? Like, why is it such a limited amount of people that get to talk about this? No, we're putting a stop to it today. We're starting a new YouTube show about the fantasy sports, and obviously right now it's fantasy football season, so that's what we're getting into. So if you listen to our show, our podcast, again, it's the Sport Bros on Tap for a reason. We like to go ahead and have a nice little adult beverage with our show, and we also happen to be bros, and not just like, yo, bro. Like, this is my straight up brother right here. So this is Matt. I'm one of your hosts, and I'm sitting in with my brother Cody. Go ahead and tell the people something.
How's it going, everybody? Yeah, I think we were just, we love talking sports. We love talking all sports. And so our podcast, whatever direction you want to go with, hopefully you give us a look. My brother is doing an amazing job with the website. Like you said, Sport Bros on Tap. We're kind of people, we're brothers who are best friends who we always enjoyed going, whether it was being at home or going to a bar or whatever it was, man, we could sit down, talk sports with people. We enjoy the conversation, enjoy people's opinions. This is literally just art and we love it. And yeah, so we always just sit there and me and him we're thinking, we're like, man, we always are sitting there listening to Matthew Berry and Field Yates and I'm like, dude, Field Yates looks like he's 12 years old. Like, I bet he can't even grow this beard. You know what I mean? Like,
I can't either, Field. It's okay, buddy. I can't grow a beard either.
Yeah. Oh, please. Yes, you can. Yours might just not be gray like mine, but maybe I'm just jealous of Field because he's got that hair, dude. That's sharp look, baby. But yeah, so we just wanted to dive in a little bit of, you spend all that time of all of a sudden you see, kind of ESPN, that's where they're based off of. You see their fantasy rankings and you see, oh, the flex appeal on that football Sundays, or this is that waiver wire you have to get sort of guy pickup. And we're always like, and me and my brother always look at each other and we're like, dude, like that's a week too late, or that's a horrible option. You're just looking at, the defense is okay. But, for us, we just wanted to start giving some of our opinions. I think my brother was going to go in a little bit into it, but I'll just say, we play yearly fantasy and we play daily. For us, both our yearly leagues that we like to stick with because we feel it just makes the scoring more fun is PPR leagues, so point per reception. Each one of our leagues, we get a point per reception. So kind of valuable pass catchers / guys who are targeted more, hold strong value. We also play daily, which we understand in the NFL isn't, just like other sports where it's every day. But at this point for football, with what's going on, you're getting football Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday.
Right.
And we play DraftKings. That's what we enjoy to play off of that. Not trying to discredit FanDuel. FanDuel wants to give us a shout out. I'm all for it.
I mean, I'll endorse it if we got to,
Shout out. But with DraftKings, they give a point per reception, so it just kind of makes the point system. That's what we love and like to have fun with, and so that's kind of where our advice is coming from, and what we're going off of, what their rankings are off of ESPN is in PPR leagues. So just to kind of put that out there, and like I said, we're not pros. We're just fans of football, love football. We're knowledgeable. We feel we're knowledgeable about it. We feel that way.
No, if you want my credentials, I've won my basketball league. I won football twice in the last 5 years. Okay. I mean, I know it doesn't sound like much, but I tell you what, you bring home 2 championships in 5 years, come talk to me. All right. So,
and you can give my league a shout out. I mean, stand me down, market 8, dude. That's what I put myself as. And, I won it last year and came in second the year before that. And that's just, that's yearly stuff where I'm hitting that waiver wire hard. I'm paying attention to injuries. Mike Davis was on my roster like that when Christian McCaffrey went down. So we pay attention to stuff. whether it's the most simple thing in the world, like that sort of pickup or whatever you want to do, to help your team win. You got to be able to swallow your pride and drop a Leonard Fournette like I had to, or you never know what's going to happen with a Le'Veon Bell signing now with the Kansas City Chiefs. Is he going to have some sort of pickups where is Clyde Edwards-Helaire like going to take a step back and Le'Veon's going to step up? I don't know. We don't know. This is why we started the show, and we want to talk about it and just kind of some of our viewpoints, and we want to poke at the ESPN rankings a little bit, and we also want to have fun with some of our own little rankings and advice that hopefully we can give for y'all out there, and hopefully it works out. And if it doesn't, don't hate us.
I don't care. You can hate me if you want to. Like I said, my credentials speak for myself. No, I didn't even play fantasy football last year. I was out of the country. I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to get back into it. I'm happy. I'm in a league right now with a lot of friends who are active. There was too many years where I was playing in leagues where people were waiver wire pickups were easy. No one's trading, no one's active. You get basically a bye week against two guys because they're not even setting their lineup. So I'm in a great league this year. Everyone's really active. So you have to be on your A game. And I mean, I'm sure that's the case for a lot of people. And so I'm very, very excited for this season. And I have been, and we have, a lot of our, like you said, your Mike Davis pick, a lot of our retroactive advice means nothing. So we're looking at what's going forward, and we're talking week 6 now. And in week 6, so the first thing we do is, like anybody else who's actually interested in fantasy, we go ahead and take a look at what ESPN's looking. And they normally have, they do a great job. Don't get me wrong. They hit a lot of them, and they do good. But I also think that it can be improved. I think that they don't take a wide enough net, if you will. So Week 6 quarterback rankings, for instance, is what we're going to jump into first. And, the first one's Patrick Mahomes, and their second one's Josh Allen. Little shout out to Josh Allen. I told Cody on our podcast, if you listen, I thought he was going to be not only an MVP fantasy player this year, I thought he'd be an MVP caliber player. And although he had his worst game last week, which ended up costing me the game by 4 points, I can live with it. He's been great this year. So having them 1 and 2, don't disagree with any of that. So like I said, the top dogs are not hard to predict. They always do a great job with that. Everybody does, though. So for me, first, I'll go to you because I know I have one. Do you have a quarterback that they had on this list or that isn't on this list that you think is either underrated, undervalued, that you could see having a bigger impact this week, just week 6?
Well, first of all, I think you can look a little bit further down. Sorry for everybody. We're on video, obviously. I have my notes on my phone. So if you catch me peeking down, that's what I'm looking at. The first 2 picks I'm fine with. These are powerhouse players. Sometimes I do feel like they fall in love with big names a little bit too much. I feel like, give them credit. A dude like Josh Allen, they're putting up there. I would put Kyler Murray ahead of him, who is ranked 3rd on their list this week. Anyone facing
Dallas matchup, though.
anyone facing the Dallas Cowboys, I'm gonna lock him in if it's a possibility for myself. As far as like I said, if he's not on my team, come on,
top 5, they're hitting top 5. You know what I'm saying? Where are we going? That's like surprising.
I hear you. I was gonna say Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson are after that. They're top 5. I'm not even gonna argue with you.
Fine.
I'm all good with it.
Aaron Rodgers is after that, 7.
Yeah, I was sitting there, and so I want to. I'm trying to dig deep into it. So I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna try to give you just some sort of guy that I do think should be, and I can't even hate because their list is normally okay, but someone that I think is gonna step up and have, I'll say, a 300-yard game, a 3 passing touchdown game, and have a big week, and that's a nice fantasy performance. Rather, it's we're at kind of the time frame in your year-long fantasy leagues where bye weeks. My quarterback's Russell Wilson. He's on a bye week. My other quarterback I did a weird thing. I shouldn't even admit to it, but I did a weird thing.
You drafted Dak.
My other quarterback was Dak.
Yeah.
And Dak, shout out to you, bro. I hope you're getting healthy. Best of luck to you. But so I'm in quarterback scramble mode. The New Orleans Saints are on a bye week. So Drew Brees, obviously. I know the Chargers with how Justin Herbert is taken by storm. He's a fantasy monster right now, even though his team's not winning games. Not by his fault. He's putting up 300 yards and multiple touchdowns every single week.
4 touchdowns, 0 picks last week.
And then a dude like Derek Carr for the Las Vegas Raiders, which still seems weird to say, Vegas Raiders, because I guess, shout out for them. We're guys that we're Bay Area kind of guys that you can see Golden State Warriors jersey that I'm wearing. We're from the north of that area. And so for us, it's weird for me to say the Vegas Raiders. For me, they're always the Oakland Raiders, the Raiders. But so you have some quarterback options that are literally on bye week. So we got to see what you can do. Rather you're on a year-long fantasy league or a daily league, you're trying to do a roster and maybe budget out some money. For me, I'm the guy I'm looking at is Kirk Cousins. So he's ranked at 16th on ESPN, and
versus
Atlanta, it's just a horrible defense. Every quarterback's putting up monster numbers against them. The Vikings, I believe, they played really well against the Seahawks last week. You have a matchup where it's kind of like a one-win team versus a no-win team in Atlanta, and Atlanta, I don't think is going to fix any of their problems on the defensive end this quickly. I love Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, big timer. Dalvin Cook going down with an injury, and supposedly he's going to miss this week. I think he's going to. I don't. From what I've seen, he's a pretty hard questionable, more along the lines of doubtful. So I think maybe they'll turn to Kirk Cousins a little bit more, and I don't know, maybe they're just trying to spark some trade value out of him. I don't know, but so Kirk Cousins for me at 16, I think is a pretty low ranking. Like I said before, I can't completely just blame him for that because he hasn't been amazing this year. But I think he's going to be more of a top 10 caliber quarterback for this weekend. And I would be perfectly fine with taking him on a DraftKings for a cheaper value. And also in my league, I was lucky enough where I picked up Ben Roethlisberger, but he's ranked eighth actually on ESPN's list right now. So I felt like that was going to be a little bit of a cheat if I said I'm going to go Big Ben, because I think he's rostered in quite a few rosters out there. And so I think Kirk Cousins is a pretty big free agent on most boards. And so for me, it was Kirk Cousins. I'll go with, you like that? You like that? And that's
Kyle
what we're going
Shanahan does. So, I'll say, I mean, if we're talking like guys that I think are undervalued, I think even Cam Newton at 10 versus Denver, for me, he's supposed to come back this week. He practiced. I think he finally came back today. So I think looking at that, I think seeing him in the top 10 is a good sign, and that he will, he's always that rushing touchdown threat. He's always that kind of, guy. I think he will at least score in the top 10. So I think that's an easy choice. But if we're talking like further down the list, again, this guy is much further down the list, but at number 12, and everyone pretty much consensus had him at about 12 would be Gardner Minshew. Because I think that Detroit-Jacksonville game is just going to be just a shootout kind of a game. Neither one of them have much of a defense to speak of. I even love Stafford in this game, to be honest with you. But the reason I choose Minshew is I think he's only rostered in about 50% of leagues. So when Cody talks, he might talk ESPN leagues. I talk Yahoo leagues. I play Yahoo. So he's only rostered in about 50% of those leagues. So for me, I just think that's the game to attack. If you need somebody, he's only in about 50%. It's a perfect guy to pick up this week. Like you said, a lot of bye weeks this week, or not a lot, but there are bye weeks now and injuries and other stuff like that. Not to mention Minshew has put up 19, 18, and 20 in the last 3 games. I mean, that's all you want out of your quarterback, to be honest with you. When you get a 30-point game out of a quarterback, Russell Wilson does it every week, it seems like. But, if you're getting 30, you feel just amazing. But if you can just get a 20 spot, which I think the Detroit and Jacksonville, both quarterbacks, going to put up a 20 spot this week. And Gardner Minshew at 12 for me. Yeah, because last week I had a lot of guys at 16, 17. I tried to talk myself into guys like Matt Ryan and even Kirk Cousins. I tried to talk myself into it, but I felt like that Detroit matchup was the best one for Minshew to be the guy who gets you about a 20 spot. So
I think Matt Ryan has struggled the last few weeks, but I do think Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins in that game, they're both going over 20 as well. But couldn't agree more with you as far as attack that Jacksonville versus Detroit game. I think it's going to be high scoring. It's kind of interesting. Isn't it a little bit interesting that people just with Gardner Minshew just literally is just such like, I mean, look at that stash. But people have just
I know.
everyone's well. Jacksonville's tanking. They need to get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. They're in the quarterback market. They're done with it. And I'm like, man, like I don't know that this dude's not that bad. Is this really
Well, he's
your
putting
issue?
fantasy wise, he's putting up
'Cause
huge numbers. That's all we're talking about today. He's putting up
I know we're
huge
just talking about
fantasy
fantasy,
numbers.
but you appreciate it. I mean, you played quarterback, and you know at the high school level, but you were
Option
smart.
quarterback. I was an option quarterback.
I'm not saying, yeah, maybe you weren't in the crazy what's his face. Used to coach Washington State. Now he's
Mike
at
Leach.
Arkansas. Mike Leach. Maybe you weren't in the Mike Leach air raid offense, but I don't know. I just wanted to throw it out there. I don't think Gardner Minche is their problem at all, and I think he deserves more credit and possibly should be looked at as a starting quarterback, literally going forward, rather than just let's.
That's fine. I mean, because this show's about fantasy, so we're sticking to fantasy. So if I'm talking fantasy, okay, I think that there are weeks where you want to use them. There's weeks where you don't want to use them. But this particular one versus Detroit, I think is a great week. I think this is the week to give him a shot. And the fact that he's only rostered in 50% of league is what you're talking about, though. I don't think people have much faith in the fact the name. He doesn't have any kind of name recognition other than he's Uncle Rico. And I think he's should get more fantasy value, because if we're talking fantasy, he puts up numbers, man. Period. I mean, he puts up numbers. So whether it's a team thing or not.
How much you want to bet I could throw a football over the mountains?
Yeah, and he
How
can.
about that, right?
You know, Gardner's gonna throw a couple. All right. So
I like that. I like that, man. I like that. We're talking football, man. I like that.
Is that the Gruden?
All right, so we're gonna go on to running backs.
Oh, absolutely. We're gonna get it.
I'll let you take the first crack. I got my list open for the running back position, so I'm curious to see what you're gonna say first, because normally he makes me go first on a lot of this sort of stuff. People.
Oh, first off, I'd like to say that I have Zeke, the number one running back on ESPN, the number one running back that everyone's talking about, because with Saquon out and Christian McCaffrey out, it's clear Zeke's the one. I appreciate that they put him as one. You know, great matchup against Arizona. The fact that they're switching quarterbacks with Dak being out, perfect pick. Good job, ESPN. Not only that, I'm looking for a big week out of my man Zeke, who I absolutely despised before this season when I drafted him. So, with that said, I think that we talked about Minnesota. I think that the experts are a little bit too high on Madison, the running back who's taking over for Dalvin Cook
for Minnesota.
Yeah. Alexander Madison, I think his name is, from Minnesota. I get it. He had 100 yards last week. I also get it that they are going to go ahead and play Atlanta, who has a terrible defense, especially against the run. Here's my thing. We talked about Matt Ryan maybe having a rebound. For some reason, I have this inclination, and I don't have any stats to back it up. I think that Matt Ryan puts them in a position where they're going to be thrown in the second half. That also bodes well for your Kirk Cousins pick. But in my opinion, I think Matson is severely overvalued. And so if we're talking overvalue, that's my pick. And I think that Cousins has to throw the ball in the second half. And I think that's going to lead well for Thielen, for Jefferson, guys like that. But I think it bodes very bad for Matson. And to be honest with you, last week, no one wanted this guy. Then all of a sudden he goes for 100. It's like, oh, he's in that Zimmer offense, and it's a run and defense kind of thing. Let's just play him. I think he is overvalued to such a high extent. Number 6 this week. I mean, number 6 for a guy that, to be honest with you, I think about half the people playing fantasy didn't know who this guy was last week. So I think it's an overvalue and a reach.
I mean, I get what you're going with, but I completely disagree with you. So people out there, one of the brothers is going to be right on this one, because I think Alexander Madison for Minnesota Vikings is exactly where he should be. Like we're saying, we're talking PPR league, so I think him being the bell cow, I think he might run for 100 yards. I think he's going to catch 5 passes out of the backfield, maybe for extra 30 yards and get a touchdown. And I think he's going to solidify that ranking. And I think it's going to be a big time for performance from him. If I'm looking at an overvalue, I'm looking at Miles Sanders for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's ranked 8th on their list. He's facing the Baltimore Ravens. I like the Ravens defense. I think that the Ravens are going to get up early, kind of for the reasons that you were just talking about, where as far as not running the ball in the second half, I understand that Philly will still, maybe use some check downs to them and those sort of things. But I think Baltimore is going to get up early and often. I think Lamar Jackson's about to have a big game against them, to where I don't really see Miles Sanders having a monster performance. And so I think ranking him eighth is just too high for me. I think Baltimore is gonna kind of shut him down. So he's not really someone that I'm willing to touch on as far as a fantasy performer. I understand if you have him in your year-long league, I'm still going to use him probably as my flex play. Hope maybe you have a different running back one or RB2, but I get it. You probably still have to play him. So I'm not saying just put him on the bench, but I don't think he's that sort of caliber this week to put him at eighth. Like literally I can look down the list and someone who is kind of hot on the waiver wire. I know he's getting picked up a lot like now, or you missed your opportunity already. I think someone like Devontae Freeman on the New York Giants, who's going to face the Washington Redskins. I actually don't mind the Redskins up front, but I think it's going to be a close game, a grinded out game. And I think he catches a few passes out of the backfield, rushes for 50 yards or so, and does get in the end zone because neither one of those teams are good at all. And so I think I would rather almost have someone like Devontae Freeman, who's ranked 22nd on ESPN, 21st by Mr. Matthew Berry, and 21st by Field Yates. And so so for me, in my opinion, I'll throw it out there. I think he's going to have a better fantasy performance, and I would take him above someone that's ranked 8th and Miles Sanders. So I'm saying Devontae Freeman outscores Miles Sanders. So I can have the 22nd ranked guy on ESPN compared to 8th. And that's kind of a big prediction, I would say. You know, that's a lot of room in the middle there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't disagree with you. I think that I like Freeman, but at the same time, I've also liked what Gallman has done when they've gave him carries, and I think I'm a little worried about that. But honestly, obviously, Freeman is the bell cow there, and you know, so I'm with you. And
I'm
then
not saying you're getting Atlanta Falcons Freeman here,
right,
but,
right.
When Shanahan had him working, but yeah, I don't know. I just think that's, you know, for me that's a big time value play. Like I said, that's a big gap between.
No, I absolutely hear you on that. And so mine, it's funny because the guy I have is one spot ahead of him, which is Singletary, which obviously, as far as own or rostered wise, it's not going to be good. He's obviously on most people's rosters. I would assume he's pretty high. He definitely was a kind of a draft kind of guy, but they have him down there at 21, Singletary, who obviously didn't have a good game against Tennessee. There was a lot of times where he was out. There's speculations about injury, but I think Buffalo had to learn a lot in that game to realize that when you get down by 2 scores, you don't have to just start throwing the ball like crazy, because they did that and that's not what worked. Okay, what works is you run the ball. Your defense is good. Do that. Don't just fall behind by 2 scores and think the game's over. Josh Allen has to take over and be Josh Allen. Let Josh Allen just kind of fall into the game flow. I think that Singletary will be, the kind of guy that, give you that good burst on first downs, which they got away from very early in that game. And so that's why he's my pick down there so far. And Casey, even though your first mindset is you're going to be behind and you're going to be passing, they actually have one of the worst, top 5 worst rush defenses. So for me, that was pretty much my guy as far as ranking wise, although, so that's more of a daily fantasy pick, because to be honest with you, I know he's rostered in most leagues. It's not like you're going to find him on the wire or anything like that.
Do you have a roster pickup as far as Le'Veon Bell leaving the Jets? I understand the Jets are awful, everybody. We have old man Frank Gore from the U.
I was going to say it's Frank, man. I just give it for 1
there.
week, man. I was going to say it's more of a week pick, week to week, but Frank was my guy.
So for everyone out there, though, they also have LaMichael Pirine, who's Florida, who's my school. So it's kind of funny because I'm like, which one do you go with? Do you have a pickup? Is there any value there now that Le'Veon's gone, who's splitting the action, and the New York Jets are so bad anyways that Jets equals do not choose anyone on their roster in fantasy.
I'm not touching them.
Except for maybe Jamison Crowder. I'll give him a little bit of credit, but
I'm not touching running back wise. I'm not touching any. I mean, I'm good.
Me
I'm
neither.
staying
Me
away
neither.
from it. But
Me neither.
if I was gonna take one, it'd be Frankie. More nostalgia than anything. But at the same time, uh, I think a veteran like him, they might lean towards for 1 week. Even though P Ryan might be the guy who eventually takes that role on a week to week basis.
I'm gonna take I'll take Pirine even for just this week. So it's a perfect topic, you know, perfect thing again.
Contention.
The brother's just a little bit of, a little bit of maybe he's going with his heart a little bit of Frankie for the U.
No, I mean he
Pirine.
hasn't been in the U in 20 years. It feels like. I mean, geez, it's personally I trust the vet who had who was manageable last season. It's just this is the first year where he's basically getting zero usage.
They were giving Frank Gore the carries when Le'Veon was out.
Right.
It started off anyway. So I do get what you're saying. Adam Gase, just try to focus in with all your eye stuff going on right now and hope you keep your job for one more week, and then we'll see what happens.
No, absolutely. Okay, you got any more running backs? I'm ready to go into wide receivers.
I'm going to go into the wideouts, man. I'm good to go.
There's a lot of matchups I like this week when it comes to wide receivers. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's just the kind of the way it goes most weeks with wide receivers. There's always just a tasty matchup that you kind of want to get your hands on. So I went first on the running backs. You disagreed, so let me hear yours so I can absolutely punish you.
All right. Well, so I'm fine with a lot of the wideouts. I love the top picks. I love DeAndre Hopkins against Dallas because I think you should take anybody against Dallas. Devontae Adams coming back if he's healthy. I think he's going to shred Tampa Bay. Adam Thielen, I talked a little bit about him even before about how much I like Kirk Cousins matchup.
The target monster, baby.
Yeah, against Atlanta. Calvin Ridley, Tyreek Hill, that's their top 5. Really, I'm not going to go against a lot of those. I do have a question for you later on in the show. Just kind of, do you think Mike Evans with Chris Godwin coming back, is that going to kind of eliminate one of them, or are they just both going to still with Tom put up the same numbers that they did with playing with Jameis Winston? Because I really am curious to see kind of your opinion on that. I think really undervalued guys when it comes to it are 22nd on their list on ESPN is A.J. Brown for Tennessee facing Houston.
It's one of mine too, man. Tell me why.
Houston for me is a weak defensive matchup. He is a true number 1. I believe Corey Davis comes back. I might think about it a little bit differently because he was looking almost like the number 1 at that point compared to A.J. Brown. I think A.J. Brown's going to get a lot of targets, put up big numbers. I do not trust Tennessee, Houston's defense at all. And then I honestly just kind of right underneath it, I'm looking at Devontae Parker, and he's facing the Jets, and he also is a target monster in his own right. And, those guys, Matthew Berry, he's ranked on ESPN 24th. Matthew Berry put him at 20th, and Field Yates put him at 23rd. So they did rank him a little bit higher than what their colleagues did. But I'm going to be perfectly comfortable with I'm taking those guys early. I'm taking them often, as far as I know they're rostered in all the, your year-long fantasies. But I'm a daily fantasy person. I love it. I love playing tiers. I love playing any sort of thing when it comes to DraftKings. I'll play that $1 million pot because who wants to be a millionaire, baby? Maybe it'll be me. And so I'm going to take those as really undervalued guys. And I think they're going to be, both of them, I will say, are going to be top, no matter what, top 15 wideout performers. And they might even sneak into the top 10 on most people's lists. I think they're really undervalued. And it's not even like I hate the rest of the list, but like Juju Smith-Schuster at 20.
Hey man, can I get in here? Jeez, man, you want to name 4 guys? I mean, come on, man.
I'm not naming those.
Jeez.
Those aren't naming guys that I think are going to be successful. These are naming guys that I think on the list. Juju at 20, Jamison Crowder at 19, Hollywood Brown at 18, Robert Woods at 17, Amari Cooper at 16. Now that he's got the Red Rocket coming into play instead of Dak. I mean, all these guys that they have ranked ahead of the guys I'm listing, I'm saying I think they should be listed ahead of them. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to list out my offense.
Yeah, but you're getting my guy Juju in there, which is ridiculous. First off, they're playing Cleveland, second worst freaking pass offense in the league. Okay, take Claypool at 28, or Claypool at 28, or you take Juju at 20, and I'm fine with you taking either one of them. The reason Claypool is because he's only rostered in 48% of leagues, which on Yahoo, which I picked him up easily in my league, and he's not. I'm not going to start him. I'm going to play Juju because I still have more faith in him. But that's why I'm saying don't jump on my picks, man. Come on. You had your time. Don't go get out here and start naming names, man. Come on. Get out of here with that nonsense. Those were literally my two picks were just pick Pittsburgh. Take your chance with one of them because that's the fact is Cleveland's going to give up pass yards. You're going to go ahead and jump on the Pittsburgh train. You can't get Juju. I know you can't, at least in the yearly. Daily, he's probably more expensive too. So that's fine. Go take your risk with Chase, who is a matchup problem, a big 6'4" guy who can run fast. If you listen to our draft podcast we did a couple of months ago, Chase Claypool was my number 4 guy after some receivers who are doing real good this year, other than Jerry Jeudy. And for me, I just, that's why I didn't want you to step all over my Pittsburgh guys, because that's what I wanted, man. I mean, come on, I don't care. Even if you're giving me a 22 spot at A.J. Brown, who was my other guy, the only third guy I had on the list is literally A.J. Brown against Houston, who against 2-2s, which means you either got 2 tight ends and a running back, or you got a fullback and a running back. They play man-to-man more than any other team, which A.J. Brown eats man-to-man up. So it just bodes so well with them with Derrick Henry in the backfield. He's a man beater, and if they try to play man-to-man against him, he's great. So A.J. Brown was my other guy. You already took him. So the fact that you try to jump on them, I had to get on you. But the fact is, I got Juju. I got Claypool. You have to make a personal decision. I'm going with Juju myself, just because I have this theory about, you either have to come down from earth or you have to show, or play to your potential. Last week, Juju was about as bad as he could be. Claypool was about as good as you could be. For me, Juju is going to be the guy this week. I personally think so. That's why he's my pick. But also Chase Claypool is something you have to think about at 28, who's way down on the list, not rostered very high as far as percentage-wise, about 48% of leagues in Yahoo. So Claypool, if you need someone in long-term, if you need someone short-term, play Juju.
I agree with you. I'm there with you. I know we're fantasy, but so the way you're sounding, I know that matchup all of a sudden's gotten real hyped up. Cleveland versus Pittsburgh. Any chance that Cleveland can do anything against Pittsburgh, or are you kind of in that they're about to mop them up and all of a sudden Cleveland's going to look like Cleveland and Baker Mayfield's going to be Baker Mayfield?
No, Cleveland will at least score a little bit. Their offensive weapons are just they've had the weapons. It's just about figuring it out. Beckham looked like he figured it out. I know he's a questionable tag this week, but I think he's going to play. Jarvis Landry is so legit. Hunt, who obviously is an all-pro running back, with Chubb going down, does not hurt them in any way because they literally just went from one Pro Bowler to another. So I don't think the offense is going to have any problems. As far as Pittsburgh's defense is really good, in my opinion. I like what they can do, but I think that Cleveland puts enough up where it's not like Pittsburgh's going to have to throw the ball. That's the way I look at it. So it's going to be that close, because otherwise I'd be singing Connor's praises at running back saying he's going to be the guy. But I think it's going to be close enough where they're going to have to air it out. And so that's why I like Pittsburgh's matchup, because Cleveland was terrible. But Cleveland they light up bad defenses, and they do play bad against good ones. So, there is that chance that they just lay an egg,
31-21 Pittsburgh. But I was just curious how you felt about the game podcast. Man, I just get rambling, and he's got to sometime rein me in.
I got to ring him in occasionally.
But, he's always nice to me. He lets me go a lot. But so I'm curious. Tight end's kind of an interesting spot. I know me and you just real quick had gone over some of the ESPN picks, and honestly, tight end's kind of one of those positions that I don't know. It's like you kind of have your top tier, and then we'll see. Kind of plug.
No,
and play.
If we're not talking Kelsey or Kittle, what are we talking about? That's the way I look at it. If we're not talking Kelsey and Kittle.
Well, Mark Andrews' matchup this week he's top tier. Let's not act like he's not top tier.
Hey, and Jonnu Smith's been amazing for Tennessee.
That's real, man. He's facing Houston. That's real. Those they're getting in that category. But you're completely right though. I mean, you got Travis Kelce on your team. I got
Kittle.
George Kittle on my team. that's top tier. So
what are we
we'll move
talking
on.
about?
We'll move
Exactly.
on from that. So what are we really talking about? We're talking about some value plays. We're trying to give you somebody that, like we said, we're on some bye weeks. We're on some like COVID sort of, you never know if your team actually is going to end up playing or if it's postponed. We'll see what happens. So let's get some value going. I'm going to let my brother shoot his shot first.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't mind going first. That's something about me. But yeah, I mean, tight end's always such a tough position. Like you said, the reason I drafted Travis Kelce so early, is because I didn't want to have to worry about it. Tight end is sometimes people are out there and they're like, oh, I gotta figure this out this week. I gotta pick and play and all this stuff. So for this, Eric Ebron interests me, but I had so much faith in the Pittsburgh already. I'm also going to throw faith in the tight end. Maybe, you know what I mean? Maybe, I guess. So if you're looking at 14 on the list, Eric Ebron, again, I just think someone on Pittsburgh is going to have that big day. You have to find that person. So it's kind of hard. I think it's still going to be Juju. That's my personal opinion. But if you're looking, I have Eric Ebron at 14, and then
So my brother's making me feel better and better because, like I said earlier, Ben Roethlisberger was my waiver wire pickup because, like I said, Russell Wilson bye week for me, Dak Prescott out for the year. I went with Big Ben. So hopefully all of them have big days, and it ends up being all of them just get 2 touchdowns. Give me Ebron, Claypool, Juju. Just go ahead and spread the wealth. I'd be a very happy man. Robert Tonyan for the Green Bay Packers, the Cheeseheads. I don't know if I understand Devontae Adams is coming back. I understand he's going to play this week. They still have him ranked 14th right now on ESPN.
yeah,
And facing the Tampa Bay Bucks, for me, when Aaron Rodgers, when you slap the belt on him, he's still gonna find him. He might not have, a 8-catch, 100-yard day with 3 touchdowns, obviously. That's a career day. But when my boy George Kittle's giving you the shout out on Monday Night Football and he's throwing everything out at you, I'm gonna hop on that bandwagon and I'm gonna say Aaron Rodgers still finds him. I'm gonna say he gets like that 5 catches for 50 yards and finds his way to the end zone just because I don't trust Tampa Bay's defense. I don't know if y'all do out there. So we'll see. I could be completely wrong, but I think that's an undervalue. They're still ranking. I know it's a big name, and I keep waiting to see too because I'm like, oh, he probably will break out eventually. A guy like Zach Ertz, they're ranking him 6, and they keep ranking him right around that top 5. But I'm like, dude, that's just because that's your preseason ranking. He's not there. He's not doing that right now. It's a horrible matchup versus Baltimore. It's just not there. Matthew Berry kind of agrees. He's got him ranked 8th. Field Yates has him ranked 5th. But I don't know. I just think I would I'd be more confident in my dude Tonyan literally having a bigger day and being more so in that 6th to top 5, right around that range, than I would with Zach Ertz being in that spot. So I think that's a really big reach on their part. And I don't know. So we'll see. We could be completely wrong, but those are some of the big positions, and that's my opinion on that.
yeah, no, tight end for sure. And before we go, I want to say, as good as my league has been, for some reason, Indy was available defensively this week. I played Tampa Bay 3 weeks in a row. Did good for me. Got me 18, 6, and 6. All I ever look for from a defense is about 6 points. It's really all you can ask for. Don't be negative. Give me a turnover, a sack, and just keep them under 30. So it's been great. But when I saw Indy was available and the fact that Tampa Bay was playing Green Bay, I was like, this is a very easy choice for me. So I was absolutely shocked to see that no one had them.
I didn't even know you had Tampa Bay. They've been my defense for the last few weeks as well.
Me too. Yeah.
They for my league, they scored me 7 last week, but it was like they dropped like 19 the week before. And so I made a little swap out as well. We're San Francisco 49ers fans. Hasn't gone that well this year, but the Miami Dolphins obviously really impressed me last week.
I hear you. And so the only other defense I wanted to bring up, though, was personally for me, Cardinals at 14 on their rankings versus Dallas. You just don't know what you're going to get. Andy Dalton, like you said, the Red Rocket. they have so many weapons. Maybe Zeke goes for 200, and I'm absolutely wrong on this one. And Arizona's defense hasn't looked good, but I'll tell you what, if I was on the waiver wire, I guarantee they're probably there. And if I was daily looking for some value at defense, that's probably where I'd go and just guess that Andy Dalton's just going to be TCU Andy Dalton. I
It's
don't know.
it's
That's
it's
me.
it's Andy Dalton.
Exactly.
He was a little red rocket there, Andy Dalton, and they overrank Andy Dalton right now. Anyways, dude, that's gonna be one of those ones right now. Everyone's like, oh, pick up Andy Dalton, and he's gonna do this, blah 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 on ESPN. I wasn't even getting to that quarterback ranking, but literally they're going way too hot on him. They're acting like Dak is a different monster. Like I love the weapons that they have, but Zeke is going to have to be a workhorse, and they're going to have to get a lot out of him. Amari Cooper, CD Lamb, Gallup, all those dudes are taking a step back.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton, I'm telling you, the Cowboys offense is not going to look what they are. The thing is, their defense is so horrible. They are still going to have to throw the ball around. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not even touching any sort of defensive liabilities that there are in that game.
No, absolutely not. So everybody, first fantasy show, on Monday, crucify us. We don't care. But I'll tell you what, man, it's fun. I love talking fantasy sports with you, man. This was Sport Bros on tap, fantasy sports. We're gonna do one every week. We don't care. We have fun, man. So
Good luck on the fantasy picks, everybody. Have fun with it, and hopefully y'all are winning money, and good luck, and don't bet any tattoos or anything like that out there. All right. So good luck, everybody.
If you
Have a
win a
good week.
million, I'll take $100.
For real, man. Yeah, have fun, y'all, and good luck. Make some good picks and hit up that waiver wire. All right.
All right, cheers, everybody.